Whoa! Ross Coulthart is talking about Atlantis. I love it. Let's talk about it. Get in here. This is Jack with the Cosmic Road. I talk about UFOs and the paranormal. Please like, please subscribe, share on social media, and let me know what you think in the comments below. If you've been following this channel for any length of time, you know that one of my favorite subjects is Atlantis. And I have done quite a bit of research on Atlantis, trying to figure this thing out. Now, in the early days, I would say, well, you don't have to call it Atlantis. You can call it whatever you want to call it, but there is evidence for some ancient super civilization, possibly even a series of ancient super civilizations that have been wiped out in turn. But Atlantis was the last one. Whether that's true or whether it was just Atlantis and, other societies that may have existed at that time, like Lemuria, well, it's important to today. It is important to what is going on in our world today because some of this technology from these ancient super civilizations might still be playing a role in our lives and what is going on regarding the UFO phenomenon, and particularly with our government and the technologies they may have access to. We have been told that some of these UFOs have been recovered from archaeological digs. Bob Lazar has said that. Ross Coulthart has said that. Others have said that. So could those be dug up from Atlantis? Or are we talking about something else entirely? Either way, Ross Coulthart is talking Atlantis. Specifically, he's talking about Atlantis's impact on Egypt. He does not name Atlantis. He doesn't. But he does talk about high civilization, high technology that Egypt should not have had thousands and thousands of years ago. And of course, if you have studied Atlantis, you'll be familiar with the idea, the widespread notion, and there's some considerable evidence to indicate this is true, that Egypt was a colony of Atlantis, and that a lot of the survivors of the fall of Atlantis went to Egypt after its fall. And that is why Egypt was so amazing. And whether modern Egyptians have any holdover of that culture, or whether the ancient Egyptians, pre-Ptolemy, had any holdover from that culture, I don't know. Could Egypt simply be a cargo cult of Atlantis? If so, then what wiped out the survivors of Atlantis? So anyway, lots of questions. I will get into some possible answers, but first, here's Ross Coulthart talking about technology that Egypt should not have had.
I haven't been given any specific evidence, Irene, and indeed the evidence that I do have is the evidence of witnesses and sources who've spoken to me confidentially, largely from within the intelligence or the scientific community in America. But generally, without giving away secrets, what I can tell you is that a number of them have pointed to the fact that there are ruins of ancient civilizations that display technological mastery that is far beyond the stated age of those objects. A lot of the objects, for example, in the Cairo Museum that have been retrieved from some of the great archaeological discoveries in ancient Egypt, some as long ago as 5,500 years, which are, pre-dynastic Egyptian relics. They display a technology and a mastery of technology involving the shaping of stone, which is far beyond the technology, the known technology of that era. And it's interesting. I think a lot of people, if they actually bothered to look, would be able to actually inform themselves about the existence of files in the CIA library that show that America's premier intelligence service has spent a lot of time investigating ancient civilizations. Why is the premier intelligence agency in the United States devoting a considerable amount of time and money in the last 50 or 60 years to investigating ancient civilizations? And why has it secretly backed archaeological digs in different parts of the world? What does it know that we don't know? I mean, these are things that are facts. They're not things that are speculation. There are inquiries going on all over the world that I think are kind of out of the mainstream. But if you bother to stop and look, it's legitimate to ask a question. And that's what we're doing. I'm not saying definitively that aliens have been here since time immemorial, but that's what I'm being told by my sources. And I do think it's intriguing that if you look at some of the ancient civilizations, there is stonework, building work that defies explanation. And some of the speculation, of course, is that there are pre-civilizations. You know, one of the things that can't be explained are a lot of artifacts and ruins that seem a lot older than has been able to be explained by modern archaeologists. How were these buildings crafted? Who were the people that crafted these buildings? We still don't know. There are fundamental mysteries in human civilization that we haven't answered. And rather than being scared about it and treating it with stigma and ridicule, I think we should embrace it and accept it and acknowledge it and have fun with it.
Yeah, let's have fun with it. I have a lot of fun with Atlantis. Atlantis is just such a cool idea and such a cool subject. And I think it's a very important one. But he also talks about secrets that he can't reveal, that he has learned from people in the scientific community and maybe the intelligence community. I would love to know what they know about these ancient civilizations who he says may have been influenced by aliens that have been here from time immemorial. Now, what do we know about Atlantis? Well, we know that it existed. We know that some ancient, call it what you want to call it, but some ancient super civilization existed that has tendrils or had tendrils all over the globe. There's fingerprints of this ancient civilization all over. From the cocaine and the tobacco in the Egyptian mummies, which were not grown anywhere else than South America, to, well, people like Graham Hancock and others have written entire books and made entire documentary series talking about these various commonalities, so I won't go into them right now. But the commonalities between the architectural styles of various cultures, beliefs they had, mythologies they had, technologies they seemed to have had access to, foods they ate, and other things, definitely suggest an ancient super civilization that spread its tendrils all around the world and that connected disparate parts of the world and gave them information, technology, and even belief structures. But to actually understand Atlantis and what it is or may have been, you have to really go to more esoteric knowledge and people who have information that the rest of us don't have from more esoteric sources. One of my favorite people in this whole field is a guy named Matias de Stefano. If you haven't heard of him, he is a young gentleman who believes or who claims to have access to the Akashic records and remembers all his past lives. One of very few people who are consciously aware of remembering not just one of their past lives, but all of them, because he has access, according to him, to the Akashic records. Now, along with his memories, he also has a very strong connection to the other side or the higher realms or whatever you want to call it. And he has conducted ceremonies in the pyramid. He's met with the Pope. And when he's conducted these ceremonies in Egypt, not just in the pyramid, but in temples throughout Egypt, there are people who have actually witnessed incredible feats that he has done and experienced transcendent moments because of his presence in whatever ceremony he was conducting that channeled whatever power or force. So he's given a whole lot of interviews, and he's done a series of interviews on Marcus Aubrey's channel. I don't know if you're familiar with him, but he does a great YouTube channel. And he's done several multi-hour interviews with Matias. And he's one of these people that has gone to Egypt and seen some of these miracles. And I'm not going to play very much of what Matias says, but I did want to share with you a song that he sings from ancient Atlantis. And he goes on to describe in some detail the culture of Atlantis and various other aspects of, their religion and these beings that he has met, like Thoth or Tot, I think he pronounces it, who is the founder of the Hermetic wisdom. I mean, he's Hermes. That's what the Grecians called Thoth, which was this high being, apparently, from Atlantis, who came to Egypt and was revered as a god there, and also, became Hermes in Greece. Anyway, I could go on, but here is a song that Matias sings in ancient Atlantean, followed by a few comments from Marcus Aubrey.
It's a good vibration to start when it's about talking to people about history.
Yeah, exactly,
kind of
exactly.
Yeah, so I'm very shy to it.
Yeah, I know, but it's just me and you, buddy.
Okay. It's Atlantean language.
Papunmo alin ali merix morixium kene you heti balnamo kene you hebesel namo kene you heti balnamo kene you hebesel namo alin ali adehi kori Wamude twini salea Kirsifa esumeninkoi Cleo famsem.
What strikes me when I hear that is that we have forgotten our history.
Mm-hmm.
We've forgotten our history, and there's a long history of things that exist outside of Earth, but we've forgotten our own history here on Earth. And there's people discovering, monuments, and Graham Hancock's writing books about them, about civilizations 12,000 years ago, and about all of these different things, and we're starting to understand, but it's just the thread of that memory. And hearing a song all of a sudden makes all of these empty structures and buildings and ruins, it brings them back to life in a way, and reminds us that there was real people with real songs and real love and children and lovers and culture and all of these things that are lost to us, but thanks to you and potentially some other, what you call memory cells, beings that are able to remember, we can start to bring back a memory of some of that history, which can hopefully help us guide our way towards a more beautiful future.
Wasn't that amazing? I know that some of you are skeptics. Many of you probably will be, and I completely understand. I was very skeptical of Matias at first, but after hearing various witnesses corroborate his abilities, seems to suggest that he does have some genuine connections with powers and beings or whatever that the rest of us don't, which might mean he's not BSing when he says he can remember ancient Atlantis and meeting higher beings like Thoth. He says Thoth was human, Ross Coulthart is talking about an alien influence in ancient Egypt. And there's a long line of thought and lore that suggests alien presence in Atlantis. Matias does talk about non-human entities, but it seems like there is more going on in Atlantis than that. If there were aliens there, they taught people stuff and raised them up. And they spread some of these teaching all around the world, such as, according to Dolores Cannon and some of the lore on the Essenes, among the people of the Essenes, this nominally Jewish subculture in Israel. And it was among those people that Jesus is said to have come amongst and been taught, according to the books by Dolores Cannon. Again, those books are recounting the memories of people recalling their past lives who knew Jesus at the time. And that story is all mixed up in Atlantis, and there's aliens, and there's... Anyway, it's really cool. But that is one of the holdovers of Atlantis, is the Essenes, and this secret order within the Essenes, the mystery school that Jesus is said to have learned from. And ancient Atlantis prepared the Essenes for the coming of Jesus. They had a prophecy of a great teacher. And the Essenes' whole purpose was to await the teacher and to teach him what he needed to know when he was ready. And they did, and shortly thereafter they were wiped out, at least at Qumran, the location where the Dead Sea Scrolls were written by the Essenes. So you could say, if those tales are true, that a lot of Western culture, anything influenced by Christianity, wouldn't exist without Atlantis. And meanwhile, we have technology being recovered from ruins that may have been influenced in part or whole by Atlantis. And our government knows this and is actively pursuing it and covering it up. How juicy is that? So what is the secret of Atlantis? What does it have to do with the UFO phenomenon and the government cover-up? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you've enjoyed this video, please give me a big thumbs up. I sure would appreciate it. Smash the subscribe button and the bell to be notified of future videos. Join me on social media. There's Facebook and Twitter links below. I would love to see you guys there. There are plenty of other videos for you to check out on the channel, and I will see you next time. This is Jack with Cosmic Road, signing out.